Welcome, everybody. Welcome to this great day honoring a great man, a great hero in the Coachella Valley, Buddy Rogers. And we have a wonderful crowd of people here today to pay tribute to this great friend of ours. And we have a nice program. It's not too long. You won't melt. We'll be here long before you melt. But we're going to introduce a few people to you and hear some wonderful remarks about this great guy, this great friend of all of ours. Incidentally, we've been entertained for about a half an hour, 40 minutes by the Beverly Hills Youth Band that was sponsored by Buddy Rogers. It was called the Buddy Rogers Youth Band. And let us pay tribute to the director, Christian Chalafor. The director, Christian Chalafor, who brought together these wonderful young people. Now we're going to open with America the Beautiful, which will be sung for us by a young lady who's not only won an Academy Award, but she also has sung the America the Beautiful for the President of the United States and at the Iwo Jima Memorial, and she's here to do it for us today. Let's give a nice hand to Carol Connors. Carol Connors.
Thank you, Monty. Beverly, I'm so honored to be here today. I can't begin to tell you. You are just beautiful. Can we just all clap and just scream for Beverly? Woo! I would ask for all the veterans to stand if they would. If you don't want to, I understand, but I think we have to give you a big round of applause also, including Buddy Rogers, of course, and Mickey Rooney. So the veterans, please, and more, come on! These are our veterans. Thank you. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountains' majesty above the fruited plains. America, America, God shed his grace on thee and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. America the beautiful. America is truly beautiful.
Thank you, Carol. I'd like to introduce a few people who have graced our with their presence here today. There are some members of the Cathedral, I should say Cathedral City is where we are. Don't forget that. And so we want to recognize the mayor of Cathedral City, Kathleen DeRosa. Kathleen here in that, what would you say, orange outfit, Kathleen? Very nice. I know that Councilmember Chuck Vasquez is here today, right beside her. Are there any others council members with us today? Or are you the only ones? I'll remember that next election. Of course, I'm just kidding. And then a public arts chair, Robert Marchand. Where is Robert? Robert's on leave. He's where? Really? We'll give him our best, will you? Thank you. He's not here. He's at the hospital. Okay. We have some celebrities here in under the tent, hiding from the sun. And I'll go down in no particular order as they're written here in front of me. But one is a great television host on many a game show over the years. That's Jack Nars. Jack, standing at the back of the room. One of the child stars of motion picture history, our own Janie Withers. Jane Withers. A star of stage and screen. I had the pleasure of touring with her in high button shoes. She is some performer, and that is Ann Jeffries. Ann Jeffries. And not enough words that one can say about one of the greatest stars of all time, Mickey Rooney and his wife Jan. Mickey Rooney and Jan. Atta girl, Jan, take a bow. The first Academy Award motion picture was Wings, and Buddy Rogers was in that picture. And that picture was directed by William Wellman, and we have the pleasure of having his son here, Bill Wellman. Bill, would you take a bow, please? Is retired General Alex Hammond with us today? Where's the General? General is AWOL. Okay, into the brig with him. Rudy Valley was a friend of Buddy Rogers back in the old days, the great Connecticut Yankee, Rudy Valley, and his widow Eleanor Valley is here today with her husband, Byron Clark. There they are over there. I guess in the last number, 10 or 20 years, there's been no one closer to Buddy and Beverly than Mickey and Dennis James. Dennis James left us a few years ago, but Mickey's with us today. Great friends. Mickey James, please say hello. Now, while Carol was singing America the Beautiful, a great recording star was mouthing the words. Maybe we'll get him to do it next time. Jerry Vale, the great Jerry Vale, right here for us. There's no name better known in the Coachella Valley than the great Jean Autry, and she's here today, the power behind the throne, Jackie Autry. Please say hello to Jackie Autry. Right over here. And I know that two of Buddy's relatives are here with us today. Bea Rogers, who's the widow of Buddy's brother Bruce. Bea, are you here? Bea? Who gave her a pass? Well, her name was here. I know Jim McCormick, Dr. Jim McCormick was here. I saw him. Dr. Jim, where are you sitting? Right there in the second row. Now, I mentioned all the names that were given to me, and if I've missed any, and you're very important, would you please stand up? James McCarthy here? Where's Jim McCarthy? Where's Jim? Yeah. I wouldn't want to miss him. Great actor, James McCarthy. Thank you for being here, James. All right. There are many others, I'm sure, that would like to be known, so stay after the show and we'll pay you special tribute. Now, when the history of Hollywood is written, there's one name of a gentleman who's with us today, and he goes back to the early days. He is a spokesman for the motion picture industry. He was a producer at Paramount. He's one of the great names, great friends of all the stars, including Buddy's, and that's our dear friend A.C. Lyles. A.C., would you come up, please? Do you see how impeccable he is? He's impeccable. I'm just peccable.
Thank you, Monty. Paramount has a big wardrobe. I go in every morning. They wardrobe me and wind me up. And I've known Monty so long. When I first knew him, he had black hair and I had hair. I had a call a while ago from Phyllis Diller, who reminds me that I was talking to Jackie Autry and she just fell, and she's been immobile for a few days, and she came here and she said, I really sacrificed to come here because I got a broken shoulder. And she said, this is the first time in 2 weeks I've been able to put on a bra. And it reminded me that I had a call from Phyllis Diller this morning, and she said, AC, I'm exhausted. I said, why are you exhausted? She said, I can't come down to honor Beverly and Buddy today. And I said, well, she said, I've been shopping all day yesterday. I'm in bed. I'm exhausted. I said, why are you exhausted shopping? She said, did you ever try to buy a bra size 32 long? In May I was 88 and I've been at Paramount 78 years. Thank you. Mickey and I grew up together. And during those 78 years at Paramount, I have seen a lot of change. I've seen changes since last night. But I have seen silent movies become talkies. I've seen color come in. I've seen the big screen come in. I saw television being developed. And I have either been associated or worked on most of the great classics at Paramount. And we have had a lot of classics at the studio. And besides the classics, there are dozens of young actors and actresses today who came through our gates and established themselves and became big stars. And there's one picture that's one of our classics that has combined both. It's not only one of the greatest pictures we ever made, but it also established two young players as stars. Both became two of the biggest stars in our business. And for the combination of that is really wonderful. And the picture was Wings, which Buddy, as said by Bill, your wonderful father directed that, and it became a classic. And it was the first picture to win the Academy Award, the only picture, a solid picture to win the Academy Award. And it starred Clara Bow, one of the biggest stars we had at that time, Richard Harlan, our biggest leading man at that time, and a handsome, dashing, wonderful fellow, a real mensch, called Charles Buddy Rogers. And the three of them Buddy, his first picture, got equal billing with Clara and Dick Arlen. And there was another young fellow in that picture. He had 2 minutes on the screen, and that 2 minutes attracted the attention of Adolf Zucker. I was his office boy. And Mr. Zucker knew talent, and he immediately put this fellow on the contract at Paramount and started starring as he did Buddy, and his name was Gary Cooper. 2 minutes and Bill, your father's picture, and boom, that established him as one of the biggest stars in Hollywood history. And you know, Buddy and Coop, as everybody called him, I never heard anybody call Buddy other than the other, never heard him called Charles, became the hottest new leading men in Hollywood. And every day, thousands of actors and actresses all over the world, not only Hollywood and California, France, Japan, everything, send out 8x10 glossies and resumes, hoping that somebody will see that and say, let's take a chance on that person. And Buddy Rogers was a student at the University of Kansas, and his father, on a whim, sent an 8x10 glossy and a resume to Paramount Studio. Certainly by chance, it wound up in Adolf Zucker's office and on his desk. And from that 8x10 glossy and that resume, Mr. Zucker saw an important person for Paramount and signed him to a contract. And Mr. Zucker was so impressed with him that one of the first things he did was Wings. And that was very unusual, take a young fellow like that and put him in the most important picture with two of your biggest stars and give him equal billing and equal time on the screen. And he had a big contract, $75 a week. And it also specified he furnished his own wardrobe. But that picture made Buddy a star. And on May the 16th of 1929, they held the first Academy Award dinner in the Blossom Room of the Roosevelt Hotel on Hollywood Boulevard. There were 226 people there. And of course, Buddy was there, Coop was there, Clara was there, Dick was there, Bill was there, and Mary Pickford attended. Well, Mary Pickford was our first big star at Paramount. She was the first actress billing above the title, 100%. She was the first person in our business to make $1 million in 1 year. She was America's sweetheart. And at the dinner, she went up to Buddy and congratulated him on the wonderful performance. And she said, Buddy, tell me, who's your favorite actress? Thinking he was going to say, of course, Mary Pickford. He said, Norma Shearer. And she said, gee, that's too bad, Mr. Rogers, because I was going to ask you to be the leading man in my next picture. But she overlooked that and gave Buddy the lead in the next picture. And Mary was known as America's sweetheart, but this time Buddy was known as America's boyfriend. They got married. So America's sweetheart married America's favorite boyfriend. You know, if you see Buddy's pictures, you realize that the camera fell in love with this fellow. They really loved it. And movie fans all over the world did the same thing. They fell in love with Buddy. And he became equally respected with Mary for all of the charity work that he did in Hollywood. He and Mary, the Motion Picture Country Home started with Mary and Buddy. And everything that they did off screen was so much for our industry and so much for the community. And before millions of people, in an Academy Award, Bob Hope gave Buddy the Gene Herschel Award, which is very special for the person who's done more for the community than anyone. It's not given every year in the Academy, it's just someone that is selected. And you know, the dictionary, if you look it up, says the word buddy means buddy, it means friend, pal, comrade, good scout. And I don't know of anybody that typifies good scout more than Buddy, because if you know, those of you who've been Boy Scouts will remember that a Boy Scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. And Buddy was all of those, but I'd like to add something else. Buddy was talented, respected, and certainly beloved. And I'm sure that the composer of that wonderful song, the classic My Buddy, had Charles Buddy Rogers in mind. I just heard the other day Barbara Streisand sing it, and I hope when she was recording it that she was thinking about Buddy. But you know, Buddy, you talked about my borrowed wardrobe from Paramount. Buddy got up every morning early and dressed for dinner. He really did. He was, every day was that coming up. And he, one time as a gag, he went to our wardrobe department and borrowed the worst beat-up, moth-eaten suit he could find, an old torn shirt, and a stained-up tie, and went to the Brown Derby for lunch. And not one person said, "What is this, Buddy?" Because Buddy was the only guy I know who could make shabby look elegant. On Buddy's 80th birthday, we had a party for him, and George Burns came in, and Buddy said, "Can you imagine I'm 80? And George said to him, "My underwear is older, Buddy." And he also said, "I have to tell you, I'm 10 years older than you, but I am happy. I'm so happy because every night I'm surrounded by beautiful girls, Buddy." And he said, I also have to tell you, Buddy, although I'm 10 years older than you and have all of these girls, I make love almost every night of the week. Almost on Monday, almost on Tuesday, almost on Wednesday. Buddy made 75 pictures for us, and a lot more are every place, and a lot of television shows. And he also played 9 musical instruments. And he had his own band. In those days, in between features, he traveled all over the United States and became as well known with his band as he did in pictures. And once in Chicago, he was playing the big theater there. The manager said, "They're giving a big dinner for you tonight, and you have to go to this dinner, and there are going to be a lot of dignitaries and famous people." And Buddy took his mother there, and his way back to the hotel, Mrs. Rogers said, "Buddy, that was a lovely dinner they had for you, and that man there was so nice to me. He was seated and kept serving and everything. He was so wonderful. How did he get that awful scar on his face?" Buddy said, "Mom, that was Al Capone." And on my 10th birthday, I got a job. I sold wings. It's changed my life, Bill. I saw Wings and I said, "I want to work for Paramount Pictures and Adolph Zukor." And on my 10th birthday, I got a job at Paramount as Mr. Zukor's office boy. And I came from Jacksonville. I had $20 in my pocket, and I got on a day coach one way, and I had 2 loaves of bread, 2 jars of peanut butter, and a sack of apples for the 4 days on the train. And I got there, and Mr. Zukor made me his office boy. And the same thing he did for Buddy, he did for me. And after 78 years, but only once, Buddy became my mentor and best friend, and only once did he give me a bad advice. He said, AC, don't tell people you went to work at Paramount on your 10th birthday. Sounds phony. Tell them you went there on your 20th birthday. And then instead of being your age, you'll be 10 years older and you'll get so damn many compliments on your age. And I tell you, it's worked all of these years. But I would have to tell Buddy that recently I was introduced to a couple that this is A.C. Lyles. He started work at Paramount in 1928 on his 20th birthday, and they said, "My God, you're 98?" And I said, "Yeah." They said, "Jesus Christ, you look good." The guy said, "You know, you look so good, you could pass for 95 any day." So, Buddy, I'm back to 88 years old. Thank you for helping me. I had the shortest resume in Hollywood history, 1920 to 2006. And Buddy, you've been greatly responsible for it. And when you leave here today, you're going to feel a little breeze around your shoulder. And it's going to be Buddy saying, "I love you, and thanks for being here today. And thank you for being so kind to Beverly and taking good care of you. And Beverly, our arms are around you. They'll always be around you." And you know, when someone does something particularly extraordinary in our business, they get applause. When they have done something extraordinarily great, contributed so much in their private life, they get applause, but they also get a standing ovation. And I think today is appropriate if we all stand and give Buddy a standing farewell ovation. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Appreciate it so much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, AC. Thank you, my dear friend. Thank you, AC. The history of Hollywood, right in that man. Another speaker we're going to have for us today is a gentleman who was at one time a council member at Rancho Mirage and also Mayor Pro Tem at Rancho Mirage. And we gave him a special passport to come into Cathedral City. But we want him here because he's not only a great friend of Buddy Rogers, but a great member of our community as well. Let's say hello to Arthur Newman. Arthur Newman. I'm sure he took up most of your time.
Well, AC is a tough act to follow. I knew it in advance. I met AC when I first went to Paramount in 1981 working on a flick called HUD. And did I say 81? I'm sorry. Age and time just sort of changes as you grow older. I mean, I never used to talk about my age up to my 100th birthday. In the last 13 years, I admit it, and anyhow, AC has brought to you a picture of Buddy Rogers that I didn't know about. I thought I really knew Buddy when I was 14 years old, 12 years old, but it was for a different reason. In those days in Cleveland, the heroes would be a guy like Bob Feller with the Cleveland Indians, and he could stand on a pedestal like this. And then, of course, there were the actors, and the actors could stand on a pedestal like this. But in 1936, 37, 38, swing music came into being. And I want to tell you, those were the heroes in those days. So I wasn't seeing Buddy so much from the standpoint of a film star as I was seeing him as a musician, a fabulous musician. We used to have a theater in Cleveland called the Palace Theater. A lot of people compared it to the Paris Opera House, but was a little bit more opulent. They would book a new swing band in there every week. And we went down there every Saturday morning. My brother and my brother was a piano player, I was a would-be drummer. And boy, we got down there first thing and got the choice box seats. And We would watch all 4 shows. We would get in, I think it was 45 cents. The evening shows were like $2.75, and then that's in the Depression when they paid Woolworth girls $5 a week. But we got in for 35 cents at the morning price, stayed all day, all night, all evening. And after the 4th or 5th show, we would run around to the back of the theater, try to catch the band members as they were leaving the stage door. And sure enough, one of those bands, of course, was Buddy. And Buddy just bowled you over because he could play all these different instruments, and he soloed in clarinet, saxophone, and of course the trombone. That was what he was known for. And when we got those autographs and talked to those guys briefly, we sort of felt like we knew them. I didn't know them like AC knew them, but I felt like I knew them. 50 years later, half a century, I did get to know Buddy and his wonderful, beautiful, lovely wife, Beverly. And we were members of the same club. And Buddy would sit in with the bands at the dinner parties and so forth. And it was just so exciting to be, because it was much better than the Palace Theater because we were closer. And on a few occasions I sat in with the bands, and Patty reminds me I sat in once when Buddy was playing. I just hope I didn't lose the beat for him. But anyhow, it was a time when we did get to be good friends, and Buddy helped us in various charitable activities. Buddy helped us in various charitable activities, and it's been a great privilege to have known him, and it's a great privilege to be here today to recognize a man of superb greatness. Thank you very much.
I guess it should be noted that the drummer's friend, his brother who played the piano so well, was a little-known actor called Paul Newman. You heard of Paul Newman, I'm sure. Thank you. Now, when I was informed that there were going to be some singers on the program today, Patty Newman said to me, I didn't get their names, but they're a husband and wife team. And I said, there can only be one couple that I know, and I've done many a show with them, and they are brilliant. Up, up, and away in my flying whatever it is. It's Marilyn McCoo and Billy Davis, and they're here to perform for us tonight. Marilyn McCoo and Billy Davis. And here they are. Where's my balloon?
That's what it is, Bob.
It's a balloon, right?
It's a balloon.
Whatever.
It's a balloon, or whatever.
In my whatever.
No musical accompaniment?
No, but just our pitch pipe.
They're going to
Yeah,
sing. They're going to
yeah.
sing Acapulco.
We're going to sing
Yeah.
Acapulco.
That's right. Well, it's a real honor to be here. And Javier, how you doing? I consider Buddy and Beverly Rogers our true friends.
Dear sweet people.
Dear sweet people.
We were introduced by some mutual friends, Muriel and Abe Lipsy, a number of
Yes.
years ago, and Beverly and Buddy and the two of us, we just clicked. And Buddy was just such a sweet, loving man. We didn't know about all of the old movies that he had done. We just knew him, who he was at this time. And he and Beverly just embraced us, and we loved music together and loved one another. And we loved what you all have stood for so many people.
He said he loved you too.
Oh, yes, right. Buddy, I considered him to be the happiest man on earth.
Yes.
When we would go to dinner, he would just be lit up. I'm telling you, it was just what a beautiful, beautiful man.
Special man.
And what a beautiful lady. Huh?
Yes, she was saying you and she have a
Favorite bear.
Oh, your
yeah.
favorite
Oh.
bear. Oh, yes.
Yeah, well, I mean, the people don't know about it. I mean, maybe some
That's
people
between the
did.
two.
Yeah, that's between the two of us. It's a long story. But if you know about the band, you'll be on the floor, you know.
But you know, Beverly and Buddy represented a togetherness that is just so special, and we picked a song to sing that we felt Buddy has surrounded her with since he has left us, and he's. But it's a love and a message for you, and a love and a message for all of you, that we remember that that we'll never be lonely when we think we're lonely, that there's always someone there who is watching over us.
Yes, this song is so rangy, we have to get a pitch, okay?
Okay.
When you walk through a storm, hold your head up high and don't be afraid of the dark.
At the end of a storm is a golden sky, and the sweet silver song of the lark. Walk on, through the wind, walk on through the rain, though your dreams be tossed and blown and blown. Walk on, walk on, with hope in your heart, and you'll never walk alone. You'll never walk alone. God bless you, Beverly.
Thank you.
That was just beautiful. Thank you so much. Getting down to the short strokes now, we're going to unveil this wonderful statue. And before we do that, we're going to have Susan Stafford come up and do a blessing for the statue, after which we will unveil it, and we'll have more music from the orchestra. So let's do first things first. Susan, would you do us a favor of giving us a blessing for the statue?
Well, naturally, we're here today for one purpose. We've all gone through that purpose, and that purpose happens to be Buddy Rogers. And what a good day for a great guy. You know, Buddy Rogers, without doubt, had more charm than any man I had ever met in my entire life. I mean, without doubt. In fact, for the first 20 years, I was wishing he wasn't married to Beverly Rogers. Now, this statue today that Beverly has taken the time and effort and really has worked to be here, for which we're grateful. We know that this will symbolize a lot of things, but one thing is that we shall never, ever, ever forget Buddy Rogers.
nor will we ever forget the love that he's had for his Beverly, and vice versa, her love for him. These are the things we're sure of. Beverly said to me, you know, there are going to be several friends there that are really friends, Susan, but there's one particular person that I want you to say thank you to. And she said, he's a very special man, and you know, since he's been a little guy, he's had a lot of talent. But I knew if I called on him, he would be there for my buddy. And that indeed he is. Talented, and he's your MC today, and that would be Monty Hall. Thank you. Now we're going to have a word of prayer. This won't hurt you a bit, I promise. I would like for you to stand up if you can, and I'd like for you to hold hands or touch somebody's shoulder if you can. I said shoulder, AC, shoulder. All right. Lord God, thank you for the life of Buddy Rogers, and thank you for this statue, which will always be a remembrance of our love and his spirit. And Buddy Rogers, we thank you for giving us the joy and the sunshine you have through all these years. We pray in one name always, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and of course, Jesus Christ. Shalom and amen.
Well, the moment has arrived when we're going to unveil the set, and I've seen it, and it's a remarkable likeness. And I think the beautiful part about it, of course, is that it shows Buddy with the trombone, which we'll always know. I did many a telethon with Buddy Rogers and many a banquet, and he always came over and picked up a trombone and played with the orchestra up until really the end of his life. It was just a wonderful thing to see. And as we unveil, I'm going to have the Beverly Hills Youth Orchestra play his Buddy Rogers Youth Symphony. I didn't realize I was a ventriloquist. And I think I have another ventriloquist coming up. Mickey wants to say something, and when Mickey wants to say something, he says something.
The genuine love that Beverly Rogers has is real. There are many types of love, but her love is everlasting. My wife Jan and I have talked to her and gone to many events in honor of Buddy Rogers. And Buddy Rogers is one of the greats. Don't ever forget his name. You know, today we have this and we have that. And we see this on television and that on television. But you'll never get a chance to see the greatness of Buddy Rogers. I just want to say thank you. The show's been very long and I'm very short. But I want to thank Beverly on behalf of my wife Jan and my son Chris and my grandsons for inviting us here to this wonderful occasion. God bless you all. Thank you. And God bless our troops in Iraq.
Now the Buddy Rogers Youth Band, am I close to it? Symphony? Well, that's nice. I guess if you get over 30 pieces, it's called a symphony, right? Well, they're going to play background to the music. And to unveil this statue, we're going to have the youngest member of the symphony. His name is, what is your name now? I think it's Dallin Frank, am I right? Is that you, Dallin? How old are you? 9 years old, and he's in this symphony orchestra. Isn't that wonderful? And Dallin is going to be joined by the producer of this entire afternoon, and that's Patty Newman, who took care of this entire proceedings. And we're going to ask them, and before we unveil the statue, one little note. Beverly wants to thank Cathedral City and the City Council for graciously accepting her gift of this Buddy Rogers statue. Actually, it was accepted by a previous council. This project has been in the work for a long, long time. It was George Montgomery made the original maquette, and since then it went through many changes until it is what you see today, and I think you're going to like it very much. So the symphony plays, we unveil the statue, and the saints go marching in. And the flower on the statue is Beverly's gift to her body. Great gentleman and humanitarian, Buddy Rogers.
I'd like to wheel Beverly over here. We have a presentation we'd like to make to Beverly.
The orchestra's going to join you as soon as
I just want this statue.
Now, the mayor of Cathedral City would like to make a special presentation to Beverly Rogers.
Beverly, having you here today is beyond exceptional. Knowing the problems you've had recently with your health, we are just so overwhelmed that you were able to get here today. For who you are and for what you've done for Cathedral City, we can't thank you enough. I was part of that original council when we started this project many, many years ago, and it is with a great, great honor, representing 53,000 residents of Cathedral City, that we make this small presentation to you. Thank you so much for giving us Buddy Rogers for all eternity.
And our thanks to all the people who participated. Susan Stafford, for your assistance in making this day possible, along with Patty Newman. And our speakers, Arthur Newman and A.C. Lyles, and Billy and Marilyn for performing for us, and everybody who participated. Now, there'll be refreshments for our distinguished guests over here on this side of the stage. And I hope that you enjoyed this afternoon. Come and take your private pictures of the statue. And thank you so much for coming.